Ivory is the biggest part of the $17 billion worldwide wildlife trade. If the trend continues or doesn't change soon, it could push elephants close to extinction. China remains the largest market for ivory and ivory products. The reasons? Well, there are thousands of years of cultural traditions, and also there is a rising demand for luxury goods by China's growing middle class that's fueling the sale of ivory goods in China. But a concerted effort is being made by the Chinese government and wildlife conservationists alike to curb the ivory sales in China and educate Chinese consumers about the dire impacts of the illegal ivory trade. Ge Gabriel is at the forefront of this effort. She currently serves as Regional Director of Asia for the International Fund for Animal Welfare and is the driving force behind the organization's work in China. She's also been recognized as one of the leading conservationists in the world. And Grace joins us now from Washington, D.C. Welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you.
Let me ask you about the poaching crisis. It happened in the 1970s and 80s, and then there was this trade ban. And a lot of us kind of fell asleep, thought the whole problem was going to go away. What happened?
Yes, the 1970s and 80s, the poaching crisis cut the African elephant population from 1.3 million to fewer than 600,000. And that prompted the Cites, the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Fauna and Flora, a UN convention to ban the international commercial trade of elephant ivory. And when the ban took effect in 1989, the price dropped and poaching, that reduced poaching, and elephant population was starting to recover. However, that didn't last long. In 1999, only 9 years after the ban, Cites approved a first one-off sale to Japan, and then in 2008, Cites allowed another one-off sale of ivory to China. And these repeated one-off sales, unfortunately, stimulated the shrinking or dying demand for elephant ivory in Asia.
Why is it so highly regarded in Chinese communities, would you say? What is it about ivory?
Well, ivory has always been coveted in Chinese societies as a status symbol. But in the past, it was only the purview of a privileged few. With the economic expansion and the growing of wealth in China particularly, people start to covet ivory and many of the luxury products, and including ivory and rhino horn carvings as a status symbol. And this is, it is a growing trend. And as I said, the Cites allowed one-off sales of these ivory stockpiles into Asian countries, and that coincided with the growing wealth in Asia. But also for elephant ivory, there was a huge misunderstanding. I didn't even know about it until 2007. IFAW did a survey in China trying to find out what are people's misconceptions about elephants, about ivory trade, and we found that 70% of the Chinese did not even know ivory comes from dead elephants. Because in Chinese, ivory is 象牙, and it literally means elephant teeth. And as teeth, people think, a human teeth can fall off, it can grow back, or a person doesn't have to die. And this is truly astonishing to me. And so based on this understanding, we have developed a series of education campaigns to raise awareness.
In 2014, China destroyed tons of ivory. A lot of other countries have done it as well. And yet it seems, I just want to get at one piece of this, which I saw someone talking about, how when you dwindle the market size, that only increases the value of the ivory, and some investors actually want to jump into the market. Can you talk about that? I mean, in some ways you're taking care of the problem, but it maybe perhaps creating more of a problem.
No, because what the ivory that were destroyed, U.S. also destroyed 6 tons of ivory last November, and China followed suit and destroyed 6.1 tons in Guangdong province in January. The ivory destroyed are confiscated contraband. They are illegal goods. They should never be circulated back into the market. It's storing them is a huge headache for a lot of the countries, not just countries on the demand side, on the consuming side. A lot of African countries have also seized a huge, ivory tonnage, and putting them in storage will always tempt people to corrupt officials try to get their hands on that ivory and circulate it back into the market. So destroying contraband ivory actually sends a clear message to poachers and consumers alike that killing elephants for their ivory cannot be tolerated, and countries are starting to address this issue. And it is so key that countries need the political will to address wildlife crime the same way they are addressing many other forms of violent crime.
How much does it move the needle to have somebody as iconic as Yao Ming also taking up this issue, having these voices? We've talked to Kristen Davis. Some of these people who do have the soapbox to stand on, to shout to the people that follow them, hey, don't buy ivory.
Yeah, it's, just saying don't buy ivory is not enough. When you do awareness raising, you need to understand what are people's misunderstandings. Chinese, I'm Chinese myself, and I used to really wonder, are Chinese prejudiced against elephants? And from our survey, we found they're not. Because 70% of the people do not know ivory comes from dead elephants. In that same survey, we found that 82% of them said that they would not consume ivory if they had known. So based on that understanding, we developed this heart-wrenching, heartstring pulling campaign. It's called Mom, I Have Teeth. And the Mom I Have Teeth campaign, the dialogue between baby and a baby elephant and its mother, the baby was so happy that he finally got teeth, and the mother was not happy. And we explained to people why elephant babies having teeth means what it means for elephant families. And as soon as that campaign was launched, we were overwhelmed. Chinese corporations, ad agencies approached us, offering us pro bono ad space across the country in some of the key cities where ivory trade is very rampant. I have got an email actually from an ivory carver. He said, I didn't know that. I have many other type of materials I can carve with. I don't need to carve with ivory. And China's Education Bureau, in fact, took our Mom, I Have Teeth message and put it into college entrance exam, the Chinese language test. That subsequently reached 9 million college applicants. And also in 2013, after 5 years of launching this ad awareness raising campaign, we decided to evaluate it, and we were very happy to find that our ad had penetrated 75% of the urban Chinese population, and it had reduced the segment of people most likely to purchase ivory from 54% to 26%. And so that tells me people can be moved by, Chinese are not prejudiced against elephants, and if you explain to them the impact of their behavior, ivory consuming behavior to elephants, they will move. But unfortunately, general public, most people would move, but there are a few people who have already benefited financially from ivory trade. And these are the people, they are not going to, our ad campaign are not going to move these type of people. And for these people, the only way to stop them is for government to have a clear law banning ivory trade.
But it's interesting, you bring up the Chinese and the fact that they don't know about where the ivory comes from. And yet in 2014, February of 2014, I've seen this video where your organization asked people in the UK to bring in their ivory products, and then the products were crushed. And there was a woman who came in with all of these ivory carvings, and they were carved into the shape of elephants. So obviously she adored elephants. And she said, I have no idea. So this is a problem that exists everywhere. Why the ignorance?
It is a lot of people probably just, they don't think about this material. When as consumers, we all starting to realize our, everything we buy, a lot of us start to ask questions. Where did it come from? Where was it made? When our ad campaign was launched, there was a young mother. She wrote her feelings, and she took picture of our ad in the subways and posted on social media. And she confessed that the day she saw the ad, she had an ivory bracelet on her wrist, and she was so ashamed. She was so ashamed. She wrote on social media and told all her friends not to buy ivory.
Well, that's a nice first step. Grace Ge Gabriel, thanks so much for talking to us.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Coming up next, one Hollywood icon has devoted her life to wildlife conservation, and she joins us next to share her campaign for stronger legislation here in the United States.